Hi, I am Alexandra, and you are here with us at Social Media Help Desk with KWSM. We do this every Tuesday. I am joined today by content editors Olivia and Lila. And today we're going to do, what we like to do every week, which is go ahead and update you on the news that's coming up in social media and some talking points to help you run your own social media. We care a lot about education here, and so this is why we like to do this every single week. So to get started, we're just going to quickly talk about some stuff that's happened in the news of social media recently. One of them is that LinkedIn has some new skill assessments. So most of us are probably familiar with you can get endorsements and people can vote on it and say, yeah, I know you can do this with Excel or whatnot. But now they've got something where it's actually a test you can take. They're 15 to 20 question tests. They've only got a few of them right now since it's in testing, where then if you pass with a 70 or above, you actually get a badge for whatever skill this is. So what do you guys think about that?
I think that's awesome. I think it's great that people can now have sort of like a standardized testing method that people can quickly just add some skills to the resume, and you can vouch because if you are familiar with the LinkedIn platform, you'll know off top the quality of the assessment test. Yeah. So I think that's a great way for people to get a better understanding of, okay, when they say that they're doing this, their friends just aren't endorsing them because they know them,
Right. That's always the concern I have when I see things. Or if I have a friend who's endorsed me on something, I'm like, you don't even know that I can do that. Like,
yeah,
we're friends,
worked
but
in
no.
that capacity to know that. So yeah, it's a great way to add some more objectivity to it.
Yeah.
I also think it really reawakens that feature, because that's a feature that, at least for me as a LinkedIn user, I used 5-6 years ago.
Yeah,
and
never
now
refreshed it.
It's never really been refreshed. So allowing you to update your profile and take these skill tests allows you to also put clearly and identifying to potential recruiters or people in your network what you think is your most valuable skill. Right. Because it's more of yourself going out there and taking that quiz as opposed to other people letting you know what your skills are.
Right.
Yeah.
And it works for recruiters too. So if you're going and looking for someone, that's going to be it. And the cool thing about this is it's not just some you can't cheat your way through this. It's timed and you cannot come back to it you can't pause and come back. You have to do it. Now, you get to choose if your score gets shown. You don't have to show your score. So you can take it a couple times if you have to. But they're really trying to make sure that it's not just like I can just look, I'll just Google it for a second to see and then get that endorsement, which would be really against you in the end.
Defeats the purpose.
Exactly. So I thought that was kind of cool. I like that they gave it some limitations too.
And it also allows us to kind of interact with LinkedIn in more ways, because sometimes people only interact with LinkedIn when they're looking for a job usually, or when they're recruiting for a job. So it may give people that aren't in the process of looking for a job a reason to visit the site and interact on the site a little bit more, spend some more time there while they're just, putting up a refresher on their skill sets and whatnot.
Right. So yeah, good on you. I think that's innovative. LinkedIn doesn't always be the one who's got something really innovative. This is very innovative. I like it. Next thing is just a quick facelift for Twitter. They've already kind of done that, we know, on the desktop. But what they've done is now you can personalize your own profile even more. So some people already know about dark mode. They use dark mode. I think I use dark mode. But now you can switch between a default, a dim, or a lights out mode. And then they've also allowed us the ability to change the way you want text to display, what size it displays in. And there's also 6 different colors to customize. So they're just giving us some more options. Slowly rolling them out as they go. I think they're good. I don't know. Anything else to say about that? No.
I think it's pretty simple.
There you go. Yeah, that's how it was kind of cool. That's the thing that's happening. So if you want to interact with Twitter a different way, they're giving you more options.
Yeah, and I think important to note with all of these platforms is that they usually do a slow rollout. So if you don't see it on your Twitter, it's because they don't roll it out to every single user at once. They're probably just, I don't know if that's mentioned, but I
don't think it is, but that is true.
Yeah, so if you don't see it at home, that's probably why.
Yeah. And then last but not least, this is a good one for all of you out there who do run ads and are big fans of Pinterest, is you can now create your campaigns from anywhere. They're allowing you to create ad campaigns from your phone, which did not exist beforehand, which is very cool because I, as a user, never use Pinterest on my desktop. I only use it on my phone. So I don't know if that changes how people interact with it. But, so you know exactly how this works. You can create the advertisement. All you have to do is choose the pin from your business profile, select an automated or custom target option, pick your duration, and set the daily budget. That's it. It's like a very quick, 4-step, here you go, so you don't have to sit and and be at a desktop and ready to go. If you've got a good idea, the best way I can think of this is if like news breaks about something goes really viral out of nowhere, or usually it's something product review, or if you're an influencer, something like that. And you're out and about and you're like, well, I can get this up on Pinterest right now. I don't have to wait. So it gives you a lot of responsiveness. What do you guys think? Since you guys, I don't know if either of you manage any Pinterest accounts, but thoughts on that?
It sounds very similar to the Instagram from your mobile device. So I'm assuming they're sort of mirroring that.
Yeah.
I do think for Pinterest as a company, it probably helps more people to create the ads, which is revenue generating for them. So that's understandable why they'd want to move into that mobile space. But bigger picture thinking, I think it's important as a marketer that you can see how your ad is going to look to other people. And oftentimes when we're on our desktops, we think that the font size is totally appropriate, and it ends up looking way too massive on a mobile device. And there are just certain design elements that you wouldn't really catch if you weren't on your phone.
Yeah.
So I do think that it helps for people to be able to start moving towards this mobile only campaigns. And as a company, they're really showing that that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
Eventually you can do almost anything from your phone.
Yeah. I mean, we carry around these little computers in our pockets and purses all day long. It makes sense that we would eventually be able to treat them exactly like that.
Yeah. They are, as you said, they're little computers in our pockets and purses, and I think that this is a great step to boost productivity for those business owners that are kind of short on time, and they may have a great idea when they're out on the go, and they may be, doing in between different processes that they're handling for their operation of their business, and they may find a quick minute while they're out and about. Hey, let me quickly post this. So I think it's great that they're making things more user-friendly for business owners that are out and about and they want to, advertise.
On the move, always on the move. I mean, that's what it's for. It's called mobile for a reason. All right, so next we are going to do something kind of fun. We're going to give you a little bit of a history lesson. Olivia is going to walk us through the landscape of social media, where it was and where we're at.
Yes, so one of the posts that we did in our blogs recently was we focused on what does social media look like right now, the landscape out there in 2019, and how did we kind of get there? So starting with the history, I think a lot of people don't actually know that the first social networking site in the form that we have today online was called 6 Degrees, and it debuted in 1997. So that was all the way back in the 90s, over 20 years ago. So who'd have thunk it? But that was the first one, and it worked similarly to how many of our social networking sites work today, where you request people as your friends and add them to your online community. You can interact with them in that fashion. But the company shut down in 2001, so it was a short-lived kind of dream. But it was the catalyst for so many other sites that we now still have in existence today. For example, after that, we had Friendster, and interestingly enough, we had LinkedIn back in 2002 debut. So LinkedIn's kind of been one of the OGs. You know?
It is.
You don't think of it as that because it's not as popular as the others because it's more professional based, but it's been around for a hot minute. Also, MySpace is a big one that everyone used to know, especially millennials. May be very familiar with that.
That was my first social media channel, was MySpace.
And then Facebook came after that, then YouTube and Reddit in the middle of the decade in around 2005. And then as time progressed, we had Twitter come up in 2006. Then we also had WhatsApp, which is the world's largest messaging app, which a lot of people aren't actually aware of. That came in 2009.
Yeah, because WhatsApp is, you can probably talk a little bit about this, but it's more international because, I mean, here in the US, we just don't use it that much.
Yeah,
but everyone else does.
It's a very popular app in Europe especially, and they use it as their primary texting. So even though they have iPhones, they don't use iMessage, they use WhatsApp.
Huh. There you go.
Yeah, and it's also a very robust app for messaging. Not only is it allows you to connect with people on other devices, but I think the beauty of it is that the messaging features are quite elevated from iMessage. So that's actually quite a nice feature about it. But back to the other ones. Then Instagram and Pinterest came on later and at the tail end of the decade. And then as we move into the current decade that we're in now, we had Snapchat come about in 2011. And then most recently, TikTok debuted internationally in 2017. So, this social networking thing, it's not going away, and it's become a permanent fixture in our lives today. And now, people are searching for, well, what's the most popular platform out there? What are people using today? What's the biggest one? So, as we all know, in the United States, Facebook is really big, but what a lot of people don't realize, because some people don't look at YouTube, but YouTube is actually the most used platform for both adults in the United States and teens. So, the 73% of the adult US population use YouTube, and 69% also use Facebook. So
that's a lot of people.
That's everybody almost, That's a very small portion of people that aren't using those sites.
You may not know this, but is it people who are actually users, or are they just using? Like, is it, because for YouTube, you can access YouTube without needing a profile.
It says in the actual demographics clip, but I have to blow it up because it's kind of small in front of me. But I think it does mention in the article that I linked it from Pew Research Center. It does specify how it's being used, how that number is being used. But I think it's people that have accessed the site or are accessing the site and actively using it. So I don't necessarily think that you have to have a membership for that to count. Yeah, but yes,
they're just getting unique traffic.
Yes, unique traffic from people that are actively using it. Yes,
I'm on YouTube every day.
YouTube
is the thing that I use. It makes sense to one. It's owned by Google, but I mean, it really is the first thing I go to if I need to learn how to do something.
It's a treasure trove of information.
Yeah,
any and everything.
And then I get myself addicted to these silly YouTube shows that I'm watching all the time. I just constantly do it. Every single time we do one of these Facebook Lives, they go on YouTube. We put them there so you can find a backlog, and people watch them. We know people are looking.
Probably the majority of people are watching this on YouTube.
On YouTube, that's true.
Yeah, YouTube is such a treasure trove of information, and it has so many applications, such as people creating their own web series, people doing product reviews, influencers influencing. There are just so many ways, and as they say, it's the biggest search engine after Google. So people want to find out something about something, they go on YouTube to find it, because the video tells so many more words than a picture.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So then after that, we also have what's popular amongst American teens is between the 13 to 17-year-olds. As we said, they're also on YouTube, but Snapchat is also a very popular one. And then another one to round out the top 4 that they're using is Instagram and Facebook.
That makes sense to me. Instagram and Facebook makes sense. Snapchat, I think I just missed the age. I think I'm just slightly
that's popular
too old
in Generation Zers.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be a Snapchat user, and it really, in my generation, was abandoned. It was everyone moved to Instagram stories, but I think that generation, that age group is still all on Snapchat, and sort of you are where your friends are.
Yes.
I think that's why Snapchat has just grown exponentially in that group.
Yeah. I think I too have moved. Instagram was one that I really liked from the beginning. The second it launched, I remember it launching and being like, oh, this is cool. This is all visual based. And then once they introduced stories, at first it took me a while to adapt to stories. And then eventually it just became this thing of okay, I've looked at my feed. Okay, what are people doing on their stories?
Yeah.
And that definitely is more engaging to me than Snapchat. But it makes sense to me that you've got, what was it, 13 to 17?
Yeah, 13
so
to
teenagers
17
specifically are using it.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. And then also for Pinterest, it's another popular one amongst US adults. 28% of the US adult population is using that, and 2/3 of the user base are women. So that's also something to keep in mind, that if you're marketing towards women, you want to also don't overlook Pinterest, especially if you have a retail product that's B2C.
Yeah, retail products, and I have an entire list of menus and food and recipes and crafting things are huge. That's what I use it for.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of that going around.
And I think thinking outside of the box, if that is your target audience, you're gonna get in front of them. If you are the only, let's say lawyer, very obscure, but if you find a right way and you are the trendiest dressed lawyer, you may get people on your website just because you look good or have a good style, and then all of a sudden you're generating business from there.
That's true. Create your niche that's going to fit in there, especially if that is your demographic. Women is your. It's at first it'll be why? What is this? And then you're going to be interested in how did you manage to get this here?
Yeah, I mean we are a digital marketing agency, and we're using Pinterest because we have a lot of culture going on.
Yep.
And so I know when we were first getting this office, our CEO Katie, she was actually shopping for rugs, and she was using Pinterest as a way to gather that information to decorate our office, and now that has a ton of followers because we have good style as an agency, and that brings in traffic.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, you wouldn't expect that necessarily to be the case.
Yes, so you may be wondering, why is it important for us to know this? It's because as a business owner or as marketers, it's important to know where your audience is. So having an understanding of who's using the platforms, how they're using them, what demographics you find on this, which one's more female leaning, which one's more male leaning, which one has younger users, which one has older users. You need to understand the information for when you decide, hey, this is where I want to invest my ad spend. This is where I want to get in front of my customers and where they are. So it's important to know what the social media landscape is in every year, you know, not just 2019, but you want to keep abreast of the current trends in social media usage and who's on it, because you want to make sure that you're hitting your customers.
Very cool. Yeah, anything else on that? Feel like we're in a good spot because we've got a next thing ties into that. We're doing it on purpose. Look at us with a plan. Lila is going to talk to us, now that we know where you should probably be going, looking at those demographics. She's going to let us know a little bit about content-based SEO and that strategy.
Yeah. So it's a little bit far away from social media, but I do think that we can all tie it in with our discussion. So SEO, for those of us who are new to that, it stands for search engine optimization. And so platforms like Google or Bing or Yahoo, those are all search engines. And so people often turn to those platforms to look for answers to their questions, or even access to different service providers. If they're in a time crunch, they're even typing in, you know, restaurants to eat on Google and just sort of seeing what happens. And the optimization process of that is the steps that you would take as a business to make sure that you are that first or second website that shows up. And so the higher that you show up on that search result, the more likely that these people are going to come to you. Because just to put a statistic behind it, 75% of all internet users don't actually scroll past the first page in search engines. Which, you know, okay, let's do a little poll here.
Yeah.
Have you ever scrolled past the second page?
I have actually clicked through a few places.
I have too.
But I know I'm off. But most of the time, if I'm looking for something, it's the first thing that comes up.
Yes.
Yeah, we're probably a little bit more research intense.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Maybe we're.
It might also
But it's
depend on
very
what you're
rare.
looking for.
Yeah. There's only time that I've ever actually scrolled to the bottom and then gone, maybe there's something on the next page. Is what I'm searching for is probably something really specific and not usually searched. Like, I'm going to give a weird example. I make costumes sometimes. So when I'm looking for patterns or I'm looking for a resource of some kind, the first page is not usually the first one because it's going to tell me Joanne's and Michael's first. And I'm like, no, I already know I can't go there. I need to get further down. But I know I'm a weird case.
Okay. Well, that's good. Good
There
feedback.
you go.
But definitely, I could understand. Most people probably are like, the first 5 hits, if it's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
A
Try
behavior I've seen myself doing in my personal life is I will search a key phrase, and if I don't see my answer, even populate in that Google pop-up text that they have, which are all SEO optimizable. If my answer isn't there and it's not being written the way I need it to, I tend to go back to my original search and rephrase the way that I asked the question. Because I think, okay, Google doesn't understand what I'm asking, therefore I'm not seeing the best possible answer.
Yes.
Right. No, I rephrase. I'm like, maybe they mean this. Maybe it's phrased this way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, at KWSM, we follow the content-based SEO strategy. There are many different ways to SEO optimize your website. I mean, people have been working with backlinking as a strategy. Probably if you are, typing into Google right now, best way to SEO optimize, you will read a different solution almost every single link that you read. So for the sake of this conversation, we're going to talk about the content-based SEO strategy. And what that means is high-quality content, such as writing blogs or making videos or images that get people to stay on your website and read, watch, or see more. And so the reason that we do that is because Google specifically has actually released a statement in the past that said that quality content is one of the most important aspects of your website. And what they mean by quality is that it is unique. So you didn't find it somewhere else on the web. It's your own photos, your own videos. It's of high quality. So the quality of the writing is grammatically correct, things like that. The media usage, so high resolution, quality photos, and that it's user friendly. And so this is a really difficult thing to do if you don't have a web developer in most cases, as you could probably speak to, just because you tend to think so hard about the content that you're creating that you forget about the user friendliness, which boils down to also how long are your paragraphs? Are they easy to read? Do you have enough spacing, and are you breaking up your text? But also, I mean, buttons, and I'm sure you can speak to more user friendliness.
The way, I mean, it needs to be, just imagine, I'm sure everybody's done this, anytime that you've gone to a page that isn't optimized for your phone, and it's just a wall of text, and you lose yourself in it immediately. So if we're talking blogs specifically, it's like, I need to have it broken up. I was just thinking, I remember when the blog format of we don't indent the first line anymore, and we don't do the like MLA format, like that's how I learned to write, and then the internet totally changed that. You do not write that way anymore because that structure doesn't make sense anymore. So think through those things of, do my links stand out if I have a link? Are my images going to look good on a phone? Like, it needs to be both. There's a, as far as SEO philosophy goes, there is a, do you design for mobile or do you design for desktop first? I think it's a little bit of both. But when it's doing this content SEO, you have to think that most people are going to be reading things while they're on their phone. So thinking that way first.
Yeah, and especially after the conversation we just had about Pinterest, most people are using social media from their mobile devices, which tends to also be a ripple effect that most people are using their mobile devices when they are making searches. Because they stumble across something on social media, they go to your website, or they are searching for an answer to their question on their phone, they're on the go.
Yeah.
And so this is actually the second part of a content SEO strategy, is that once you have created very high quality content, meaning unique, of high quality, with lots of media and user friendly, then the point is to take that high quality content and put it in different places.
Yep.
So you obviously would hope that over time Google and Bing and Yahoo take note of your high quality content, but a way that we do it at the agency is we run people's social media channels, and we write press releases, and we do frequent blogging, and we also have outbound links. So these are all different techniques that we get people to come to the website, to stay on the website, and to read your content.
Yeah. Totally, to tie that back into like Pinterest and the blogging part of it, is if you're on your phone and you're putting up, you have a blog that's up and you want to share it to Pinterest and say, oh, I'm going to run this as an ad because it's relevant right now, and then they're going to go back to your site, and it does need to be that mobile friendliness. But the fact that, like you said, someone is probably out on the go, they're probably searching for it. We mostly use social media on our phones, and I am going to be sharing my content out into the world. And when people click on it, it's going to bring you back, and that's going to tell the search engines that, oh, hey, this is a valid site. People are going from one place to another to find this information, and that's what it likes. It likes seeing those trends of, people searching, finding you first or second. It doesn't matter, as long as they're finding you and spreading your information around different social channels, which is what we do here for our clients. It's something you can do too.
Yeah, I think this is very important because search engines are basically the gateway and gatekeepers to the internet. So you really want your content to be of the utmost quality because you want it to be seen and you want it to be found. If you kind of look at it as, say we were house hunting, you go to list your house with a realtor. A realtor's going to want to show the best houses. So you want your house to be styled nicely, everything clean, put away, maybe have somebody come in and redecorate just for the images and the pictures and just for the showing. And it's kind of like that. It's like when we post, we as a business are kind of like, we have our house that we're trying to sell, and we're taking it to the realtor, and we want the realtor to show it to people. So Google was like the realtor, and we want our houses, our businesses, and our websites to look good so that Google will show it to the first people that come. You know, so we really want our content to be optimized well so that Google will be like, hey, this stuff's good.
Yeah.
We need to push this stuff to the top. You
I
know?
love that analogy.
So, yeah,
I
I think
love
it's
that
important
analogy.
that we think about it. Otherwise, if it's not going to get shown, then we're doing it all for what?
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
And thinking, continuing on with your analogy, this actually is a really great way to explain is, are you putting your house on the market and painting the walls, or are you taking it a step further and interior design?
Yes.
Because that is what this content is.
Yes.
You are explaining, you are answering questions,
Yes.
you are providing another level of detail
Yes.
to what it is that you do and what the potential is of this house.
Yeah.
That people begin to understand better. Oh, this could be repurposed. And
Yes.
we could put
How
our
can
couch
we use
here,
this?
and
Or-
how can
Yes.
it be used?
See
And
themselves
that-
there.
That exactly. That allows people to envision themselves already working with you.
Yep.
Because they already understand, what is it that you're going to be doing with this space, and how can you help me? So,
I
One-
really like that.
I like
you don't
this.
just want to change the
fantastic.
paint. You want to like invest in the presentation of this. You don't just want to slap a new coat over. It has to be
No.
more, invested than that. Yeah.
and for those of them who want to get started on this, this is a blog topic, so it will be linked on the footnotes of this video, so you can get a better understanding of how to do all of these. But one major thing that I touch on is the importance of having keywords. Because just like when you are going to be presenting your home to a real estate agent, you want to be very specific in explaining what you want the real estate agent to say. So in the case of the home analogy, if you are nearby a park, you would want to include that. And if you have how many bedrooms you have, how many like what it is that makes your house unique,
Stand
hardwood
out, yeah.
floors.
Yeah.
Those are keywords that you would want to have in your listing, because once a person is looking for hardwood floors, they will be able to find you. And so it's also going back to what Google thinks about all of this. Google really appreciates that you're letting their search engine know which words you are intending to rank for, just so that it's easier for their crawling tools. Which
Yeah.
I'm not
They're
sure.
crawlers.
Crawlers.
Google, it's the short of it is that Google goes out and they have these they're called bots. It's algorithms that go out, they go and scan every site on the internet and decide, does it have X, Y, and Z for us to want to list it? And they do that every few days.
So they will scan your website no matter what, and so they will either scan it and determine for you what words are most important and what are repeated frequently and what are written about in a very unique way. Or if you tell Google which words you would like to be ranking for, it's a lot easier for the crawlers and also for you to start ranking for those words that you intend to rank for.
It's an easy way to get about it too, just to make sure like this is what I care about and this is what Google should list me for.
Exactly. Cool. And if you have already started with your SEO or your content marketing and you aren't sure, what keywords you should be ranking for, we do have the ability to we do an audit here, and there's no harm in going back into your old logs that you've written and fill out that information that Google would want retroactively. So there is that ability to do that after the fact.
Cool. All right, awesome. Anything else?
That's all I've got.
That's all you got. Well, that's a lot that we just gave you, though. So I understand if you're a little overwhelmed, but I promise it's a labor of love. You care about your business. We know you do, and so this is something that you can invest in, and is, as far as things go, a pretty easy investment. It just takes some time. But that is going to do it for us. So the 2 takeaways I'm going to give you is pay attention to your demographics and where they are on social, and get working on quality content and spreading it around. I think that's the best way you can get started. Again, thank you, Olivia and Lila, for joining me today on Social Media Help Desk. You will see us next week on Tuesday at 12:30 p.m. on the Pacific time, and we hope to see you then. Thanks so much.